Alright, hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a program that will send an email using Visual Basic 2010. What you're going to do is open up Visual Basic, hit New Project. This project is going to be a Windows Form application, so name whatever you want and then save it where it's at. I'm not going to be recreating because I already have it done with the code already typed in, just to make this simpler, and I'll be able to easier explain this to you. Now you're going to want to open up that program, or you should already have it open. Open it up. For this specific one, if you're wondering why it says Gmail to Gmail, it only works with that for this specific version, how we're doing it. But within my next video, I'm going to be trying to show you how to use other email services like Yahoo, Hotmail, and what other ones exist. So we're going to dive right into it. What you're going to want to have is three labels, each one saying your username, your password, and their username, their being the person you are going to send it to. It doesn't really have to say that, it's just the easiest way to have it explained right out in simple text. And then three text boxes, and then one larger one. And to get this large one, if you don't know how, when you click on it, or click on this one, you'll click on this arrow, and you'll see the option to do multi-line. You want to check that box and then drag it to fit the area of the GUI that you're doing. And you'll need only one button for this. I have my buttons and text boxes named to something else. Actually, I don't have this one named. To make it easier to read this code, I usually have each text box or button its actual name to be what it actually does within the program. A lot of people like to leave it as button 1 or text box 1, text box 2, but that can get confusing sometimes when reading the code. Right? And you can have it say send or whatever you want. For the username, I have mine named as txt my username. For the password, it's txt my password. Their username, txt their username. Keeping it simple so that way when you read the code, you'll be able to understand it. So double click any one of the GUI to get to the code. The first thing you have to do, or this will not work, type imports space system.net.mail. Now what this does is it pretty much imports the ability to use mail services and send them and whatnot, I guess technically. I watched a couple of tutorials and then pretty much made my own program based off that and tweaked it from what other people had done just so that it would fit my liking. And then after that, that should be above public class. It should not be contained within that or you'll get an error. And then for the button 1 code, it still says, change that real quick actually. Change this to BT and send. So that's the proper code. There's gonna be a couple of dim statements you're gonna have to make. If you don't know what dim statements are for now, that's okay. It's just better to go into this knowing what they are. And I'm hoping to do a video that will explain the basics of Visual Basic for the people that don't know what are like dim statements, if then, and just some basic elements you'll be seeing throughout my videos and other people's videos. You want to do dim mail as a new mail message. Now what this one is it sets pretty much when you're dimming something, it's pretty much setting it as a variable and then you define the variable. So what this variable is, it's going to be a mail message. That's pretty much what we're going to be sending. You're going to do dim your user as string. This means it's the variable for our username, and string means it's readable text that can be written to another area. You're going to want to do this also for dim your password, or your pass, or whatever you really want to name it, as string also, same thing as username. Do this also with dim their user as string, and dim message as string. Message obviously being what we're going to be sending to them. And now this is how you define what the dim statements really are, setting the variable. You're going to want to set your user, or whatever you named any of these, to your user space equals space txt my username dot text. Now what this means is it's going to look into whatever the user types. Say they type, or you would type your email or username. A lot of people call it different things. And if I typed, say, herpnderp123@gmail.com, it would set my username as herpnderp123.com, or whatever I just said. It's late. And because that is the text that we had entered. Do this also for the passwords, but set it to txt mypassword.txt, and also do this with their user. and everything is right here. Make sure you have the right text boxes going with the right text boxes. Like, make sure this one's lined up with your username and then the password, because if you don't, that could get confusing and cause errors when trying to test the final project. Now, message equals text txt message.text. Since this is multi-line, it'll be able to wrap and go down, unlike this where it would just keep going for an infinite amount. So it would go line, 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 making it more email friendly instead of, I don't know what I'm saying. I've never really tried it using just a single line. If you really want to, you could if you were trying to compact the GUI. And now I usually like to give some space between what each section is. This is the dim section. This is what defines the variables. If you don't know how to do comments, it's simple. It's a little colon. No, that's not a colon. Comma. No, not a comma. Quotation. No. Whatever this little dash thing is, that also go. It looks half of a quotation mark. You want to do that, and then code. You don't have to put that. Comments don't affect anything within the code. It's just a way of explaining what something is. So that way people will know, oh, this is what the dim statements are. Oh, or this is what the variables are for the dim statements. Oh, these are the dim statements. Oh, this is the main code. So under the main code, you're going to have mail.subject. Now you can set this to anything you want. It doesn't really matter. You could actually have mail.subject. You could actually have this also set how we have the same way. Say if you wanted to, if the subject's not going to be the same every time, you would do dim subject as string, and then you would do dim or subject equals txt subject dot text. But since I don't have a text box created for subject, as you can see, it gives me an error saying does not exist, or yeah, saying does not exist. So if you wanted to do it that way, that's another way you can do it. If you want to make it custom every single time, personally, I wouldn't really think about it just because subject really doesn't mean anything. It's up to you if you want to do that. Or you can also have it predefined every single time saying this is an email. For people, I guess, who are not stupid enough to read the whole email and only go off what the subject's about. But anyway, then after having that, you're gonna want enter down, and then the next thing you're going to be entering is mail period to period add parenthesis their user. Their user, it calls on the their user variable, and it'll check whatever you entered into here, whatever their email or username is, and then it'll know that's who we're sending it to. So now that that's who we're sending it, this is the code that defines who we're sending it to, pretty much. And since it's a variable, it can change no matter what. Unlike the subject, which is a set line of code. And now we're going to do mail.from equals new mail address parentheses your user in parentheses. What this is, it refers to our username, and it gets our username, and it knows that who to say it's from. I guess. I'm trying to think. I don't really get the point of that. But yeah, doesn't really matter. Now, what next is mailed. Well, it does matter, so don't just put that in. Not really sure what it does, but it has to be there. Now you're going to want to enter down and do mail.body equals message. This is pretty self-explanatory. It takes the body of the email, and yeah, whatever you typed in the message box here will be converted into the message variable, and then mail.body will equal whatever you typed in. And now moving on to pretty much, this is the part that gets a little bit complex, which is why it's only Gmail to Gmail right now. Dim SMTP as new SMTP client, and then SMTP, type this exactly, I don't feel like saying SMTP all the time. What this pretty much is, this is like the service that we'll be using. You're going to do smtp.enable SSL equal true. I'm not really sure what this means. I'm assuming that it means that the ability to send emails using an email service is enabled now. Now what you're going to hit enter down and hit smtp.credentials. For those of you who don't know what credentials means, it's pretty much just what's your username and password. So it'll be smtp.credentials space equals space new system.net.network credential parentheses your user comma space your pass end parenthesis. Now what this code does is it's going to check what your username is, and then it's hard to explain. Like when you log into Gmail or at whatever email service it asks for your password. This is pretty much it doing that within the code without having you to go through the whole website. And then it'll go through your password. Yeah, you'll enter your password and you'll enter your username and then you'll enter your password. And then when you hit send, there's no form of, currently in the way I have this is really simple. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this. With this, it has no way of telling you if it's true or not that you entered the correct username or password. So if you happen to notice that the email you're trying to send doesn't send, it could also be password error or username error. But what next is you're going to enter down and hit enter SMTP port equals space quotation mark 587 unquote. What the port is, it pretty much is each email service uses a different kind of port, and what the port is that's how like receiving and outgoing mail, how it gets received. Each one has a different one. So for Gmail it's 587, and for the problem is I didn't have enough time to look up all of the other ones, and with that you could do it on your own, but I'm probably going to be making a tutorial on it. It'll require not as much coding, a little bit more checks, maybe like a checkbox saying what service do you use, MSN, Google, Yahoo, or whatever, something or other like that. But that's pretty much what the port part of the code means. And then smtp.send mail. Mail we haven't talked about much. It was referred to as new mail message. Pretty much, since we did mail as a new mail message, it's pretty much it like opened up a blank draft, and within that blank draft the code says that the subject will be this is an email, and then it knows who to send it to, the to or CC, I'm not much of an email person, their username, and then it knows that it's from your user, and then it knows to make the body of the message whatever we typed, and then yeah, it sends. What's nice about this code is you can also add, the first time you run it, you'll notice that it's a little bit laggy. After you click, you'll notice that the program becomes frozen for a little bit, about 5 seconds. That's perfectly normal, at least on my computer, and my computer's pretty nice, I just got it. And yeah, that's normal, it's just the sending process. I haven't really learned much about progress bars, so I guess you could add one of those if you knew how much time it actually took. I guess I could put that in the next code. But then next, so that way you know for sure that it is sent or it's finished whatever it's doing, you can put messagebox.show parenthesis quote sent or whatever you want as like a confirmation, end quote in parenthesis. But you have to have this at the bottom of the code. If you put this at the beginning of the code, like up here or before any of this, it'll pop up right away, and then you'll hit OK, and then this code will run. All this code right here will run after it, since Visual Basic obviously reads from top to bottom, so it does all this stuff first. So if you didn't know that, it's sort of like how it reads a book. So you have to have it at the bottom for that to work. And that's pretty much it. This is really don't want that. This is really simple GUI, just 4 text boxes, 1 multi-line, 1 button, and a couple of labels. Labels you just type in text, obviously. Now I'm gonna send a test run. You might want to set it to non-resizable just so you don't have errors like that. My username, I can't remember it. I believe it's J49Black. And actually how I have my password set up is so that it's encoded. Not really encoded, but it doesn't show up to you guys. So password. And I'm just going to send it to myself just for the sake of being able to confirm that it works. Hey, my first video. Alright, and then it'll send. Oh, well. See, if something's done wrong, you'll get something like that. And if you ever get an error like this where it's yellow and then it won't let you pull up the program like this, it took me a while to figure this out. When I was in programming class, I would always get mad and I'd have to call my teacher, and usually end up resetting all Visual Basic and losing all my work. You just hit debug, stop debugging. The code was right, I just believe that the way I entered it was wrong. I'm pretty sure since it's mail, it has to have like at Gmail or something. So we'll run through this again. J49black at gmail.com. If you please don't email me. I'd prefer if you didn't. I don't even check my email. I just created this Gmail account for the sake of having a Gmail account. To show you how this works, then you would enter your password. I'll also show you before we end this tutorial how to do this, because that's actually really nice, especially if you're trying to do a video tutorial and you don't want people to see your password. And so I'm sending it to myself, and then the message. Hey, this is my first video. Send. You'll notice it's a little bit laggy. I'm trying to move it. Alright. Yeah. Didn't take that long. I got a confirmation message saying sent, and I'll even send a second one saying did work. So you can see that everything is unclickable until this pops up. Right. Now we're just gonna log in real quick. It's weird with Google. With a Gmail, you don't have to have the like at gmail.com when logging in, but within the program and code, you have to have the at Gmail, or you'll get the error that I got. Sign in. Loading. And then here it is. We have the subject of the email. Who is it from? J49black at gmail.com. Hey, this is my first video. And then we can also see I've done a lot of tests with a bunch of different ones, trying to figure out which way works the best. Yep, and where we entered, it even shows the enter space right there. So it's a really simple way of doing Gmail to Gmail, which is, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty useless. This is just for tutorial sakes, and if someone wants to make a more advanced version of this, feel free to do that. I plan on making an advanced version of this myself as soon as I get some time, and hopefully I can share that with you guys, just because the ability to pretty much create your own custom email sender is really nice if you don't like all the bulk stuff that they give you on the website with and all those inboxes, spam and stuff like that, or if you just want to have something for sending, not viewing email. But for this is a mass text box. I actually have it just defined as txt, my password though. If you don't know what this is, in my programming class I learned that abbreviations should be like txt, btn, or lbl for label, but I didn't do that because I'm lazy and there's no code for that. But for txt, your password, it has to be a mass text box. There's a difference between, if you'll see it, I actually have these abilities. This is the difference. With a masked text box, when you click that arrow, you have the option to set mask, and you can choose any of these. It's sort of like for credit card entering, and it gives you like time and stuff like that, better form. And with these, with a regular text box, it only gives you the option for multi-line. You can find it. Personally, I just have it usually set to all Windows form, just so I don't have to scroll between containers, menus, and pointers and stuff like that. So you're going to want to scroll to the M section, mass text box. I already have one, so I don't need to get it out. And then, dang it, delete. Alright, go to masked text box. Click on, oh, dang it, I keep messing up right now. It's 12 a.m. Midnight. And I want to go to bed. So what you're going to want to do is go to mask. Nope. That's not what you're going to want to go to. Let me just look for it real quick. Password character. Right here, I have mine also set to alphabetical this for easy access. It's called password car chair per character pretty much. It's under modifiers and above prompt character. What's prompt do? Indicates the character placeholder. But what this one is, indicates the character display for password input. As you saw when I entered my password, it came up as a star because I didn't want anyone to see it. You can pretty much just change it if you want everything to appear as O's or anything really. You could set it to whatever you want. Personally, stars is just like the standard for covering up passwords. You would just set that, or if you left it blank, the password would show up. But if you were using this for tutorial purposes, you would not want to do that for the risk of someone stealing your account, because there are bad people out there. So I have that set to that. This was my very first tutorial. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know if you like it where the people have the code pre-typed up and they just go through an in-depth explanation of how to do something, or if you prefer when people create the whole new program and do it by scratch. I thought this would be easier so I could take the full time to explain everything in depth instead of mumbling to myself and typing it. So just let me know in the comments if you prefer this or if you would like me to start something from scratch. Hopefully in my next tutorial I'll be able to show you how to use this along with a looping statement, or not even really a looping statement, but looping or go-to statements to create a spammer if you didn't like someone and you just want to send them infinite amounts of email and really piss them off. Or another way, it's probably I really don't. I'm going to release this another video for educational purposes. It's going to be how to steal someone's information using this. I am probably going to release that before I do the advanced one because I actually have that program already made out. And don't say, oh, you're just giving the hackers the code they need to steal people's information. I'm really not. It's the simplest version and it's really easy to detect. It's pretty much like when people make programs saying, oh, you want free gold in World of Warcraft, RuneScape, or whatever online game you play? Just enter your username and password and I'll do it for you. It's pretty much one of those programs, but a while ago I was curious on how those work. I was trying to look up how to find one. I couldn't really find an easy way of someone telling me how to do it, but I was able to find my own way, and I figured I'd just show it to you guys for educational purposes. It can only help you. You'd have to be pretty much stupid to fall for it. But this concludes my first tutorial. This was HerpN Derp. Hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, the end.